Hey, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm going to do a review of the new Polo G album entitled The GOAT. Let's get to it. Polo G is a rapper, singer, and songwriter hailing from the north side of Chicago. He is one of the more talented younger voices to come out of the city in the last couple of years. He has a penchant for singing very melodic hooks as well as crafting very thoughtful street stories. He does a really great job of bringing you into his world with his storytelling and vivid imagery. Polo G is very much an artist that you can relate to or feel his music on an emotional level, kind of like a Little Durk, Zero, or I hate to say prematurely, even Tupac. In 2019, he released his very impressive debut album, Die a Legend. For a 20-year-old artist, he seemed to have a lot of focus and a firm grasp on how to make high quality music. He checks off on a lot of boxes for what I would deem as necessary for an artist. He's got a calm and confident flow, flexibility in that he can go from smooth to aggressive on a track, a very relatable story, a consistent output of hits, and he appears to have a good ear for beats. While there are elements to his style that bear a resemblance to drill rap or auto crooning, it's pretty evident that he is indeed a songwriter at heart. He's not the kind of artist that just half-asses his way through a trippy instrumental. He's actually penning some thought-provoking bars while still adding in the traditional elements of drill music. This new project, The GOAT, contains 16 tracks and lasts approximately 47 minutes. It's a very enjoyable sophomore album. While his debut focused a little more on graphic street stories and his hunger to make it out, this project shows more of his evolution as an artist. Don't get me wrong, the bars of pain and paranoia are still present. He still wrestles with the transition from being in the streets with his friends to now being in a position to show others the way out. However, he's also experimenting with some newer styles this time around, and he's doing it in a balanced enough way so that it doesn't come across as too forced or corny. There are a couple of relationship records on this album, as well as quite a bit of piano and guitar melodies throughout. So if you aren't really big into smooth pianos or acoustic guitar licks, then you might not enjoy some of these instrumentals. And while I feel at times he relied too heavily on these production tools, the beats were mostly fire. When we look at features, he's got the late Juice WRLD, Stunna 4 Vegas, NLE Choppa, Lil Baby, and BJ the Chicago Kid. So with that being said, let me get into a track-by-track breakdown. On the opener, Don't Believe the Hype, Polo mixes some introspection with a little bravado. He talks about digging deep into his spirit when he spits onto the mic, and that emotion and passion is really felt on this intro track. This is supported by the moody keys and electric guitar throughout. He's made it out of the trenches at the young age of 21, but admits to his struggle to completely remove himself from his friends and their beef on the streets. He wisely adds, "If I ain't had so much to lose, I'd be risking it with them." The Mustard-produced Heartless has been out for close to a year, but it still really slaps and sounds great as the second track. While the instrumental is wavy and vibe-heavy, the lyrics really capture the mindset of a lot of youngsters caught up in street life. Polo G shows his versatility on the relationship track Martin and Gina. The guitar lick is pretty slick. It's got a nice groove to it. I'm not normally into this style of record, but I think he did a good job venturing out into some more commercial territory. On the Hit Boy produced Flex, Polo flexes his skills with the late Juice WRLD. The two artists shared a bond and their chemistry is pretty evident. I like this simple and raw quality to the instrumental that we get from Hit Boy. It's a banger for sure early in the project. Polo G vividly shares Got a Lot to Lose still can't be scared to take it there. I was in them slums, shit get dreadful like some Haitian hair. I come from that zoo, it's just cobras, pigs, and apes in there. Speaking of bangers, this is followed up by the aggressive and more trap-inspired Go Stupid. This is a Mike Will Made It and Take Keith production. It's one of the few instrumentals that doesn't have the pianos and guitars. The production is more keyboard and 808 driven. It's a little more one-dimensional, but I dig the energy. Next up are two melodic gems that both have infectious hooks and really fantastic production. They are entitled 21 and 33. On 21, Polo G gives us some true-to-life bars on the second verse with, "Ever since I stepped up in this game, I've been a bomb threat. I was in the trenches trying to see a life beyond that, cause complacent dudes usually die up in they complex. Brother, where I'm from, they turned death into a contest. Living by the gun, put all my trust into this compact. My guys went to war, but they ain't get no Vietnam check." This is very sharp lyricism, and all the while it's kind of half sung and half rapped. I mean, not many can merge those two styles together well while actually saying something in the process. I want to say 33 is giving me somewhat of an updated pop-out vibe. Although not quite as catchy, it's still very much an anthem, although it's a little more subdued. I'm digging the catchy hook as well as the wavy yet moody instrumental. We get some heartfelt lyricism and interesting storytelling on I Know. The instrumental is a little twangy. I feel like Polo might be referencing Juice WRLD on the first verse, but I'm not exactly sure. Although it is pretty obvious that his vocal inflections on the chorus were inspired by his late friend. He's pouring out his anxiety and pain, as well as touching upon some of the trauma that he experienced growing up. This kind of introspection and soul searching seems to be what makes Polo G very relatable. There's quite a bit more guitar strumming on the following track, Beautiful Pain, Losing My Mind. I have to admit I wasn't really feeling this track for a couple of reasons. One, it was just a little too emo and simp-like for my liking. And number two, I thought he overdid it with the whole acoustic guitar melody. It was just too poppy for my taste. The track, No Matter What, features some really bright and gorgeous keys that feel like a classical piano recital. There's something about his voice on the track that reminds me of Fabulous. Not exactly sure, but I'm definitely getting that vibe. The message in the track is one of survival and overcoming. He states, "Promise I'm gonna be the greatest till it ain't no more debating. Prodigy, a young king, that's what my mama cultivated. In that cell, public defender tried to offer me probation. Now I step out on that stage and see thousands of different faces. Thinking about my life, I probably would have died if I ain't make it." With thoughtful bars like this, you can tell that he's destined for even greater heights. While I somewhat like the instrumental and message on Be Something, I can't say that I view it as one of the high points. I'm actually kind of lukewarm about it. Now, granted, Little Baby's verse didn't convince me to enjoy it much more either. If anything, he brought down the quality of the track considerably. I thought his vocals stuck out like a sore thumb, to say the least. Now, he's not bad, as some folks say, but he didn't sound good on this track. We get a nice piano and guitar combination on the track Relentless. He opens the first verse with a thought on racism, followed up by his desires to take his partners out of the slums. He states, "White folks staring like I don't belong. What about them nights I had to suffer? Like they ain't trying to make me feel insecure about my color. Ever since I made a play, been trying to educate my brothers. Heaven ain't the only way we can escape up out the gutter." That "heaven ain't the only way we can escape up out the gutter" line was pretty deep, kind of Tupac-esque. On D&D, which was released earlier in the year, Polo is sort of venting. The streets and the industry fame have become overwhelming and he just wants to be left on Do Not Disturb. I can't say I was really enamored with the beat or the track in general. I'd just say it was okay. So after a couple of those slow spots and average moments, the LP finishes up pretty strong with the remaining 3 tracks. Chinatown has a pretty unique Asian styled beat. It goes really well with the title of the song, which makes it kind of vibe heavy as a result. You can almost liken his Chicago experiences to that of some 1930s or 40s gangster movie about Chinatown. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks due to the distinctive and unique style of production. Trials and Tribulations is a personal favorite for me. The pianos are minimal, but the guitars really bring the beat to life. There's a lot of emotion and passion in his descriptions and stories. It's your classic stay down to come up kind of record that I think many can identify with. This project closes out with the very poignant and socially conscious Wishing for a Hero. It's a very touching and powerful ending song that sees Polo G drawing some inspiration from Tupac. In addition to Pac, I'm also getting some Nas vibes with respect to his social commentary. Overall, I give this album a rating of 4 out of 5. While I personally like the darker and more dramatic qualities of Die a Legend slightly more, I think this album is a worthy follow-up to his debut. I believe this was his next logical step in terms of album progression. He's got a wider audience to appeal to now, and I think he dabbled with just the right amount of pop to be a little more all-encompassing with his sound. As you know, there were quite a handful of strum-happy instrumentals as well as dazzling pianos throughout. This managed to give things more of a polished and slightly mainstream feel, and like I said earlier, he may have doubled down too much on the acoustic guitar and piano sound. I could see the argument that the production was a little too similar at times, thus making things sonically predictable. This kind of created a lull in the album for me, specifically around the middle portion. Tracks like Beautiful Pain, Be Something, and D&D aren't awful tracks, but I think 1 or 2 of them could have been scrapped. As far as his songwriting, Polo G continues to show growth. He cares about the details in his stories and personal reflections. That alone separates him from a lot of other drill auto-crooners whom often give you a very formulaic take on street life. With that being said, his concepts aren't anything new or innovative. His story is indeed similar to a lot of rappers coming out of Chicago, but he's able to tell it in a more creative and expressive way. I mean, for an older head such as myself, he at least gives me some hope for this newer generation of artists. My favorite tracks include Heartless, 21, 33, No Matter What, Chinatown, Trials and Tribulations, and Wishing for a Hero. Let me know what you thought of this album in the comment section below. Was this project dope? Was it a nope? What should I check out next? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit the like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Polo G, the GOAT, 1.